take one because we're only going to do one shot.
Yeah.
There we go. I am Peaches and
I am Peachdom.
We've had to redo this part of the video because we've had a little name change. We got banned off one of the Instagram accounts.
48 hours of having the word sex in the title, in our name, and it's not allowed. So the new one is de-seggsmatized.
De-segmatized. So it's going to be SEGGS instead of SEX because the powers that be do not want us to use the word sex.
Or to talk about it.
Which we're going to anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, this episode is all about how we got into the industry and our experiences within the industry, which we'll continue throughout the other episodes.
Yeah. And then what we'll also do is have a channel to upload the video version, YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, so YouTube is, you're going to see us, and Spotify, you're going to hear us. Enjoy. First things first, really, you don't know who the hell we are.
No.
So let's start off with that. So, yeah, good idea.
Cheers to the first
Cheers.
podcast. Oh, fuck. Okay.
And they're Peach.
Beer with Peach is always better.
I didn't even...
Give us commission.
I didn't even plan for that.
It's my first time trying it. That's actually nice.
It's not bad, is it?
I don't even normally like beer. I just had FOMO. I didn't want to miss out.
I think it's because
You were.
it's because it's like it's not as sweet as those ciders and that, but it's
No.
still got a bit more fruit than the usual fruity beer.
It does.
You know?
Usually
Not
the
bad.
fruity beer actually just tastes like normal beer,
Yeah,
but tangy.
it's all lies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Here we are, being
Right.
pioneers.
exactly. Peach pioneers. Right. So, what we both do. So, we are both sex workers in our own different ways. So we're going to explain a little bit about how we differ in those ways. So.
Yeah. So I am Peachdom. I have been in the sex industry for coming up to 2 years now. Yeah, I started off with escorting, and then I eventually went into OnlyFans online, like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Although we didn't meet that way.
Oh, that's an interesting topic, isn't it?
We actually met on Field, which is a sex-positive dating app. And as soon as I saw he was an adult creator, I thought I, hit the fucking jackpot.
And I think we were both. You were Peachdom on there as well, weren't you?
I
And
was. I think
Peaches.
I was peachy on there.
Peachy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the first thing I noticed. You were another peach, and I was like,
Yeah,
there aren't
2
too many
peaches
around
and a
here.
pod.
But also, I signed up, and then it was like 2 weeks later. I hadn't even looked at it, and then no, it wasn't 2 weeks. It was like 2 months later.
Yeah.
And then
You said you were just scrolling by chance,
yeah,
and as
then-
soon as we told you, we were like, "Yay!
yeah.
Another sex worker!"
And usually, I don't know what your experience with dating apps is, but largely I talk to people and then nothing comes of it. I never see them, never meet them.
No, it's usually crap, and they normally spit out their tea once we say what it is that we do, and most people aren't as comfortable with it as they'd like to think.
They really no. They get that excitement of thinking, oh yeah, I'm talking to someone who does OnlyFans or who's an escort or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they just think, oh wait, no, that's not what I want.
Or other side of it, you're fetishized
Yes. Oh, hugely. Like
massively.
I just get asked all the stories, all the different things that I've done, and then they're out.
Yeah, and literally, I get that I have so many questions, and that is instant. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Can you get to know me first before we ask loads of questions about what I do with my my job?
I don't know about you, but the first one I always get is how much do you earn? And it's like, well, that's a bit cheeky.
Really?
Yeah. Have you not
As
had that?
if you know.
Oh god, yeah. Every single person.
Jesus.
How much do you earn? What's the... They say weirdest, but I think, what's the most interesting thing you've ever done?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they sod off.
I think maybe that's because you're a male creator.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you get that? Because they'd be like, how are you doing this full time? You're a male creator. It's female dominated. Whereas I just get the questions of, what are my normal questions that I get? One guy, he was really fucking rude. He said, how long is it before you get checked between each appointment?
What? Just straight up asking about your STI checks and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
And then
creepy.
someone else, oh, no offence, but you're just using this to promote your own business.
I've had that, yeah. I've never had...
No, sir. They have meat.
That's the thing, they always jump to a conclusion, don't they? They think that you're just doing it in order to promote. I did use Tinder at one point for that reason, because all I ever had, when I had both, all genders can contact me on there,
Yeah.
was a plethora of thirsty men. So I was like, I mean, it's fair enough. I don't mind like people thirsting over me, but as soon as they come in and then they say, "Oh, you've got an OnlyFans," it's because that's the reason you're on here. And it's like, well,
They just assume you're soliciting from the off, and like, first of all, that's not allowed on there. Like, you'll get banned.
well,
And
people do. I'm surprised I didn't when I did it for the very brief, like 3 days that I tried it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I couldn't get on with Tinder at all. I did that ages ago. But even on Field, just the things people will come out and say. And I'm just like, right, well, like, oh, aren't you bored of sex by the time you get home? It's like, yeah, P&V satisfies every need of mine in its entirety. Anyway, that's how we met.
Yeah.
So we had a date, didn't we? A couple of dates. And then we just decided to be friends.
Yeah, you know what? That's happened to me a couple of times with people I've met on dating sites. There wasn't really any kind of longevity in the romantic side of things. It was always just kind of like that. But
it's always nice to find someone who isn't a so yeah, friends.
Exactly. Oh, thanks.
Thank fuck, this is a nice human.
What do you do?
2 years. 2 years. I'm an escort. I'm an OnlyFans model. And I also do dominatrix work. I did do stripping for a little bit. That didn't go very well. I do private hire stripping now. So if you go to stag party.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, decided to do that instead from my pole dance class. And so I've only actually been doing the OnlyFans side of it for about 10 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not actually been that long. I've been doing escorting longer.
Right. So did you have...
Went head first.
Head first, yeah.
Literally.
So did you... You didn't have a page when you started escorting then?
No.
So you just went in...
I was pure escorting. I mean, the reason I did that is because at the time I was going through a very expensive divorce.
Right, okay.
Super spenny. Don't know if you ever get married, but try and undo it. It's fun. If you have property. Like, yeah.
Try and undo it.
Try and undo it. It'll cost me more than the fucking wedding. Anyway, so I was like, right, I need to do something now to... I was defaulting on credit cards because it was taking longer than I thought. So I had all these fees to pay. I was on credit cards and I was like, oh, I'll pay them off when the payment comes through. It was a 3-year divorce.
Oof.
Yeah.
Is that what's like an average divorce time?
Well, if you haven't got money, you're fine because you just pay for the 550 quid divorce online. You get it done. And it's a lot easier now as well. You can just agree. Before you had to wait 2 years. If, there was no one accusing each other of shit, but we decided to accuse each other of shit so we could get it done quicker.
Right, okay.
And the solicitor's fees, they charge you a lot. So I needed money, now. And I thought, you know what? If I always said I'd be good at sex if it was a job. Turns out it fucking is. And I was right.
It's funny that, isn't it? All that porn that I used to watch, unbeknownst to my family, well, my brother found out a couple of times, but I was like, oh yeah, you know what, I could really do this. But then at some point when I lost all that confidence in my 20s, I was like, I could never do porn. And
yeah,
then here
but that's
I am,
an
30s.
insecurity thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's great that you kind of like built something from a stressful situation.
I did. I needed to do something like now because I wouldn't have had spending money. And I was like, I'm not going to go in blind. I did research agencies, really important to do research, and then had an interview with them. I grilled them for 2 hours to make sure. And you've got to vibe check people in person. And all seemed fine. They offered to drive me to the first appointment and everything, which, I wasn't going to do. But when I told my best friends, they weren't very happy about it.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, prepare for that if you ever get into it or if you're in the industry and you haven't told anyone. some people
strong
don't accept it.
Opinions. It can get some strong opinions because people fear what they don't understand, and it didn't really matter what I was saying about, the research I'd done, because everyone's worried about your safety. And I'm like, how is it different from going on a date on Tinder with someone you don't know? In fact, isn't it better because they have all your details, they've seen your ID, they've taken a deposit, and somebody else knows exactly where you are at exactly what time. And if I don't text... Yeah. So I've got to text in the minute I'm in, got to text out the minute I'm out, and if there's 10 minutes where they haven't heard from me after the appointment's ended, there's problems.
And do they have your location as well?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
They have everything.
The only thing they can't really do is just be in that moment with you, isn't there?
Yeah.
But then I'm assuming there's kind of like a blacklist for people who
There
misbehave.
Absolutely. There's thousands of people, and that is just in Wales.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so most of... areas are blacklisted, people are blacklisted. The company that I chose to use, the agency, they had been doing it for 10 years. They had a pretty good screening process. They could tell if clients were, going to be a good client or not over the phone generally. There's obviously ones that slip through the net, but it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
And you do have to be cut from a certain cloth. You need to be able to say no. Just because they've handed money over, that doesn't mean they can do whatever they want. And it's actually taught me really well about boundaries, because I have learnt to say no much quicker than I would perhaps have in my normal life, where I would have been a bit more people-pleasing,
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's, slightly on that bracket, not sure when they can say no, but I'm assuming that kind of work does help.
Or feel like they want to please their partner, and it's like, well, no, I don't have to do this, it's my body. And most of the clients are just lovely. But a lot of people assume that I've seen some terrible things. I fucking haven't. I'm sure you've seen worse things with fucking Steve from Tinder.
Steve, dirty old Steve from Tinder.
Who's messaging about 6 other women, probably giving you chlamydia. Whereas, we use protection every time, arguably, probably having safer sex than the rest of the country.
That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, the majority of stories that I've heard about STIs being passed on, no problem with them. We just try and avoid them.
Yeah, to be safe. You wouldn't want to knowingly pass on something, especially if you had symptoms.
Exactly. The majority of stories I hear are from outside of the sex worker industry, and fair enough that we are a small percentage of the population, but still. I still hear an overwhelming amount of stories outside of the industry compared to in.
Well, that's true, and I think it's just different because there are professional boundaries in sex work. So you have to be that bit more careful because your livelihood depends on it. You need your money, so you don't want to be taking risks like that. Normally when you do it, in your personal life, quite often there's alcohol involved or whatever. And I just think we're all exchanging sex for something in return. We're all exchanging that energy. What does it matter if it's for money or if it's for good morning texts and lies? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, if it's giving someone gratification and they're paying for it, why not?
Yeah. So less judgment, more understanding.
Exactly. Oh god, yeah, the judgment thing is always going to be there, but hopefully we'll come around to a more liberal way of thinking with it.
We'll just bring it more out of the shadows. There doesn't need to be such a stigma around it. There doesn't need to be all this shame around it. And people are like, oh, it's terrible, sex work, it's awful. It's like, why though? Is sex terrible in itself? Why is it only okay when you're married to Christopher in finance?
I love that guy. You started.
So that's how I started, yeah.
And then you also do things like photo shoots, and you're a bodybuilder.
I am a bodybuilder. Check these fucking guns, man. Whoa, watch out, I'll get you right. But yeah, so I'm there's strong women is like a niche now, really, that you can kind of break into. I'm getting there slowly, but your girl's small, so we will grow. I mean,
I know firsthand you're an incredibly strong person. I mean, you're there already, but it's, baby.
Yeah, so strong. But if I go into weird accents, she's going to have to get used to it. It's just who I am.
And, I mean, I've seen some awesome stuff that you've had taken, and it's always like oiled up kind of stuff as well. Like,
gotta get that oil on.
Quite like goddessy type
Yes.
stuff. Like,
oh, do you know that goddess? I had they had the lighting, right, and they're called gels, and it looks like this kind of neon, kind of lighting, like flits of
Okay.
lighting neon. It looked like Aphrodite, man. Couldn't fucking believe it was me.
I know sometimes when you see a photo of yourself and you're just like, that can't be my body.
It is though,
It
and
is
it's
your
because
body.
you put yourself out there. You're doing it. Like, I never asked me a few years ago if I would have done that. Absolutely fucking not. But I went to therapy. Go to therapy, kids. Always go to therapy.
Seconded.
And it kind of developed from there. And one thing sex work has taught me is that everybody is beautiful. Everybody has their own sexiness. Everyone has it because there's only one you. And like loads of things. Sex work has helped me. I grow my landing strip now.
Oh yeah.
On my Fafina. Yeah. Whereas
Fafina Babina.
Fafina Babina. Whereas before I used to shave everything.
Right. Oh, I just let everything go. I'm like the Amazon rainforest down there.
Well, you're a guy. It's
I know, but why is that okay?
I don't know. I mean, if a client does want me to lick their butthole, to be honest, I won't do it if it's covered in hair.
Yeah, I mean, just
who likes eating hair?
Just for cleanliness reasons as well. Sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, stuff can get stuck in the old hair. As long if you're really clean down there, then great. But I don't want to come up with a hairball. You know what I mean?
Well, this is the thing, and like I don't mind a bit. Like on my vagina, I like a bit of hair now. Whereas I used to think I had to have it waxed all the time. No shame to anyone who does. I mean, I loved it for ages. It felt great, but I actually really like having a landing strip now. Yeah, because I saw lots of erotic art with it in, and I was like, it looks so beautiful.
Do you get little paddles and be like this when you?
Oh well,
come on.
It's honestly, it just helped show me that there's so much sexiness and beauty in every single person, any shape, any size, anywhere, and that intimacy is not just, you know, because a lot of my clients, they just want a kiss and a cuddle.
Oh yeah, I can
Do you
imagine
know what
that.
I mean?
Well, it's something I want whenever I'm feeling lonely.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always like, oh, you know, I could just do with a cuddle.
They make such a big fuss about skin on skin when you're a baby coming out the womb, and it's like, we don't stop needing that skin on skin.
Oh yeah.
And you know, when people are like, oh, sex work is dirty, sex work is this, what about paraplegics? What about people in wheelchairs?
That's
what
true.
about someone who's had a motorcycle accident and it's too painful to leave their apartment?
Was it you that was telling me about someone who was trying to hire an escort for someone in a wheelchair?
Yeah, so it was like a social worker in like a residence. You know, they were saying they were trying to get funding for escort services for their patients, and they said no because it's not a necessity. And he used to argue that and say, well, that's extremely ableist of you because you can go out and get intimacy, should you so wish, on the weekend or when you go home to your wife this evening. But, you know, these residents are never leaving this establishment. How can you say that it's not a necessity? We're humans. We need connection.
What are they thinking as a necessity? I mean, food and water or whatever, obviously a necessity. But then other things like that's basically stopping someone from even seeing another person, technically.
Yeah, from being touched in any other way than, you know, a bed bath. What the fuck?
Yeah.
How is that fair?
It's not. It's just not.
You know, because we're creatures of connection. We need it, and you know, we talk about what we eat and to keep healthy. You know, sex is health. Sex is healing. Same way that food is health and healing. So,
God, yeah, I feel so much better after an orgasm.
Oh,
So
mate,
much
honestly,
better.
if sometimes, you know, you're in a fucking shit mood and it's like, right, I've tried this, I've tried that, journaled some thoughts. It's like, have you tried having an orgasm? And then suddenly everything's better. Or 2, or maybe 3.
Yeah, well, sometimes one angry wank just doesn't do it.
No.
But, you know, 2
You've
might be
got to
okay.
go in.
Yeah, go full ham. on your hock.
Yeah.
On the ham hock.
He'll polish a few clams, you know what I mean?
So, but now,
Yeah.
coming back to it, you do OnlyFans.
I
But
do
you
do
are
OnlyFans.
currently solo, but you've got stuff in the
I'm going to
pipeline.
branch out. I'm going to collab soon. I think it'll be fun. I want to be part of the change I want to see in porn. I really hate how porn is so set up for, you know, just amateur dramatics, may need to please the guy. Like, I consume porn. I don't want to see someone screaming, you know, to Timbuktu over something they're probably not enjoying that much,
Mm.
and it's probably all staged. You know, I want to bring consent into it, make that sexy again, normal sex, normal noises, and I want to have a connection with the person so that I do love sex. I do love sex.
And
I wouldn't do this job if I didn't.
There's nothing that's stopping you. Like, this is what I found. So, this is what I found with collaborations. There's nothing stopping you from not having a really good sexual experience on camera as well.
No.
You know? And why not? Like, why can't
I'm
you?
so bad about it.
I know. This is why I like talking to people before I work with them.
Yeah.
Because you get to know each other. And also, like, being pansexual as well, I like to have a bit of a vibe with someone before I work with them.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, it builds the connection, and you're in person, you're getting a feel for each other, you're getting into their energy field, and seeing if that's someone that you could be vulnerable with. Because whether I mean, we're all vulnerable everywhere we go, and whatever job we're in. I mean, I had a fucking grievance because I was pregnant in one of my old jobs. Fucking terrible. Look, bad shit can happen in any job, and good stuff can happen in any job, and you can make good relationships as well. And why has it got to be different when it comes to sex? I don't think it is as one layered as everybody thinks.
No, I think it is just certain
multi-layered.
societal pressures, and if you're looking back at all the different decades before us, it's just been getting increasingly kind of, I can't think of the word, but we're getting kind of funneled into this section where people aren't accepting of sex in general life.
I feel like it's the stigma. It's pushed underground, and what you do when you have so much suppression with sexual needs, desires, and throw so much shame on it, is you just push it further downwards, and then what a result of that is abuse. That's how abuse germinates. That's how it spreads.
Well, this is part of the reason why I got into it. So
Yeah.
I won't say too much about the past relationship out of respect, because
Yeah, of
we
course.
ended on good terms. It was all great, but I developed a lot of issues with my body and my confidence, and I started an OnlyFans as basically an exhibitionist. I was trying to rediscover myself and love my body again. And I was in like the best shape of my life at the time as well. I was doing CrossFit. I still am very,
You're still in good shape, babe.
It's all right. I need to stop smoking. But it's I was trying to teach myself to enjoy my body again, and then when I noticed I had this this love and this appreciation of my body, because at first I didn't really put my personality out there like I do now.
Yeah.
It was mainly focused on my body, and then that's what brought some of my confidence back. And I was a faceless creator at this point as well.
Yeah.
So it was very kind of intensely focused on that. And it worked. It really did. It worked. I feel so much better about myself now, and compared to what I used to, it's almost been like a therapeutic thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the initial stuff obviously gave you the confidence to be like, okay, my body's out there. Maybe I can come out too.
Totally.
Me, my personality, I can sell myself. And also you rediscovering yourself, because you said yourself like you'd not really done the whole like I did when I was younger. Going around discovering things that you like and you don't like, so to speak.
Exactly. I mean, I hadn't had sex with anyone for years, and obviously my ex, but with anyone else for years and years. So
very monogamous.
It was a completely monogamous situation.
Whereas now you are polyamorous.
Yeah. So.
Or is it ethical non-monogamy that you're more? Is there a difference? Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
How
in...
uneducated.
Well, I mean, there's many kind of levels to it, I think. And
Yeah.
to say polyamory is kind of a blanket term you can use if you're in a relationship with someone. Say if someone's, husband and wife, if it's like if it's a two-sex relationship, and you're ethically non-monogamous, then one person can go off, see another, or you can invite someone in, but you're still that couple, and you don't have any other relationships with other people.
Got you, right.
Yeah. Whereas like polyamory, it might be that you have
a couple
2
of
or 3 paramours, maybe you have one primary paramour, I think that someone called it the other day.
What's a paramour?
Paramour, like it's just
Music.
it's someone that you feel kind of love and feelings basically for. Yeah, fancy word for a
Fancy.
for a partner in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to be my paramour? No, I'm joking. I'm kidding. We're just friends.
Someone play Misery Business.
Yeah.
What I do is similar but also different.
Yeah. And how did you start? Like, what made you go into the world of sex work? Which you went straight into OnlyFans, wasn't it? And creating.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
I did the physical. You did the
online teasing through a
probably
camera.
like the sensible way first. You know.
Yeah. So I started going through it, faceless, blah blah blah, all that stuff, and then January 2021 is when I started showing my face and doing.
Oh my God! New Year,
TikToks.
New You.
I know. Happy loves.
Happy New Year. Here's me.
It was really silly, to be honest. I started showing my face on TikTok, which was linked to my Instagram, and people knew who I was, and I don't know why I was still blurring my tattoos and covering my face. But I changed that in January 2021, and I went full time. I used to be a teacher. We'll get into that another time. And then that's what it was for a long time. But I didn't start collaborating properly for a while after that.
You were a solo creator, weren't you, to start?
Yeah, so I made some stuff with some other people when I was still faceless. I was wearing like the COVID mask and stuff.
I'm sure there's a cake for that now somewhere.
I mean that content I don't use anymore because there's no real reason to. I've got lots of nice new content where I show myself and blah
That's
blah blah.
the old you.
That's the old me. This is the new me now. So that's pretty much been my life since then, and I've just been collaborating more and more with people, and that's my favourite part of the job now because I get to make new friends all the time.
Yeah, networking, and then so collaborating. How does it work? So what would you do to necessarily prepare? I know we touched on you like to talk to people first, but then you've got, like everybody likes to fucking bang on about when it comes to sex work and be judgmental about it. What do you do to keep safe?
To keep safe, as in, like personally, or
yeah. So personally, so what are the measures that you would take, and what is sort of the done things in the industry? I know there's obviously, you can get certificates for STIs, can't you? Which
right, okay, yeah.
It's called like certed.
That's if you ever see people advertising on Twitter that they want to work with someone, they say full certs. That means full certification. So they need to have all of the tests done. Which would be like a throat swab, an ass swab, get it up in there, and then you've got urine, and you've got the finger prick blood as well, and then there's also the vaginal swab.
Yeah,
which
vaginal
I have
swab,
not done,
ass
obviously.
swab, throat swab, and pee-pee swab. Does it go in the pee-pee, or is it just your urine?
Oh no, yeah, we're not sticking that up there. No, I mean I've had that before. Like people have.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought a thing went in the pee-pee.
No. I mean, I have had that at the doctor's before. That's how they do it if you go into certain clinics, or they used to.
Yeah.
But now it's no urine, blood, throat, arse.
Got you.
Yeah, and it's that cotton swab is dry in the old bum hole.
How can they tell you have, say, something like gonorrhea or chlamydia from your urine then, whereas they would have checked your pee-pee hole?
Yeah, I mean, because it's it's all kind of down the urethral tract, isn't it? So yeah, it's been a long time since I had a cotton swab up there, I tell you.
I always thought that must have been fucking horrible.
It is.
But then equally, it's not very nice putting up your vag.
But I mean, some people love sounding.
What's that?
Sounding. It's like a little metal tube that they put down the penis hole. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can literally, thinking about this, I literally feel the pain in my penis right now. I'm like, I can't even think. But some guys like that kind of torture. Oh,
maybe that leads into like pain kink.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's a very kind of subby thing to do, Yeah. And it's almost like blocking, like figuratively would be blocking an orgasm in a way, kind of thing.
Oh, so it could go into like orgasm ruin.
So
we're really going in here.
Yeah,
we will get to it.
we had so many ideas of what we're going to talk about, and we're just kind of flip flopping. Maybe we should call this subject to change. So collaborations, safety.
Yeah.
Basically, I get checked every 25 to 28 days. I would get it even every 2 weeks, but it takes time for those to come back as well. On
Yeah.
average, between like 2 and 5 days for the results to come back. So you just need to check that you've got it every 25 to 28 days. In my case, some people do 28 days. Some people just say every month.
Yeah.
So it's just the difference of a couple of days. And I use the Frisky Wales home kits.
Yeah.
Or I go to Dean Street on occasion in London, which is still free. But the last time I went, it ended up costing me about 250 quid because I kept on getting fines and parking tickets and all these different things. So I was like, oh,
What?
God, okay, yeah, basically.
Is that for like congestion charges and shit?
Congestion charge, I think, was like 60, and then I had 2 parking tickets, which was 70 each, and then I also had to pay to get there. And then I think I gave a little bit towards an Airbnb when I was staying there as well. You know, it was nasty.
It was hashtag not worth it.
I
Just go to Frisky. I mean, that's the NHS service,
yeah.
as is Dean Street. So I don't see why it wouldn't be accepted for Frisky Wales certificate.
Well, it's just some people don't accept home kits because they argue that you could, like, someone else could be taking the test for you, which is understandable. However, there are also ways that stories I've heard of some sex workers who are big red flags, and no one should ever work with them. I can't think of any names, but I've heard stories of these people who have faked their certs after getting them from Dean Street.
So like forging the dates and stuff.
Yeah. So
Scandalous.
yeah, a scandalo. But in terms of being safe, it's pretty straightforward once you do it a couple of times. Like, it literally takes me 5 minutes to do it. Pop it in the post, you get it back a few days later.
Yeah.
In terms of staying safe, like physically with collaborations, I always tell someone where I'm going. Someone that I trust, whether it be a family member or a friend, and I say, I'm going here, I'm going to be there for a day or two, and I'll check in with you every now and then, you know.
Yeah, good plan. Because the thing is, just like in any situation, you've got to be aware of your surroundings. You never know what's out there. I mean, sex work is no different than crossing the street. You could fucking kidnapped across the street, couldn't you?
You could. I mean, largely, I work with people that I've worked with before, but obviously you need to work with someone the first time.
There's always going to be a first time, yeah.
And you don't know. I mean, I've been very, very lucky in the fact that I've worked with such wonderful people that I continue to work with instead. And I've now started to meet people around this area who I can work with, and I don't have to drive 5 hours to work with someone.
Yep.
And that's cutting down on costs. You know, we can work at each other's houses instead. You don't have to hire Airbnbs, although it's quite nice to get nice backdrops sometimes. But it just means that you don't have to worry, you know?
Yeah.
If you're working with someone for the first time, you've never met them in person, you've only been conversing over messages, so they could be completely different in person. You just don't know. And there's that anxiety added to that collaboration atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, when you're still trying to figure each other out.
I can imagine, because I'm only just branching in it myself. I've done like a meet beforehand. So I've done that. I haven't actually done the collab yet. See you soon, Dimitri. I'm sure he won't mind me saying that.
Lovely
if he does,
guy. Absolutely
we'll fucking
lovely
get it. But yeah, because, you know, you want to make sure that, like we said earlier, your energies are matching, your ideas are matching, that there's going to be good chemistry there, and that you're on the same page with stuff, and that you like each other's ideas.
Yeah. Because if you're going into it and you have this idea of wanting to create quite a natural scene, and then someone says, "Oh, I want to, I want you to dress up like the pizza guy," and you can, you know, I don't have the money for the pizza. It's a completely different vibe. You know, I've done stuff like that. It's actually been really fun.
Yeah.
But it's not my usual style, you know. So I will and also going on to collaborations, I always try and get something for everyone as well, because if you go there and you get one video and all they want is, for me, POV of someone else is not going to sell for me, you know? So largely you try and get something that you all, you know, want to do.
Everybody can use.
Exactly. Something you can all sell, you know? Like the one in London that I spent a lot of money to go to was a threesome with an American creator called Wolf Hudson, who came over for like 10 days. And then another creator called Nee Velvet, who came down. And we did my first it wasn't my first bi threesome, but it was my first in terms of being penetrated by a man.
Right, I see. So it was your first full service.
Full service, yeah. So it was first being penetrated, big boy, and then first giving as well. So
I see.
I called it popping my cherry.
So you were top and bottom.
Yeah, versatile. Yeah.
Top and bottom sandwich.
It was a glorious little club sandwich. Great. I remember because he was a big boy, so I kind of like I was laying on my side. We were kind of getting everything nice and gentle. I was laying on Neve's bum, just like
relax. Let the booty help you relax. Was it a therapy butt cheek?
It was a therapy butt cheek, yeah. And yeah, no one can deny that. It's a fantastic therapy butt cheek.
Love it.
But yeah, that's kind of what I look for in collaborations. I just want to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And
you want it to come across like it's probably going to be obvious on screen if you are not into it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in my job with escorting, you can put on a bit of a performance. But I really think you'd be able to pick up if you weren't really feeling it on camera.
Oh, you can, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had stuff that I haven't sold before because we just haven't had that connection.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, it's I've never not sold anything before, but I have stopped selling it after a while because there are other things that I would sell. You know.
Oh, okay.
Because like I change my hair color every 3 or 4 months, so I mean, you can see when stuff ages. And whether or not you want to keep it in like an archive or something, you know, like...
I mean, this could be the diary. Shoot a sweepstake on what colour it's going to be next time for the next podcast.
It's true, you know, I don't know what it's going to be next.
Right, I'm going to go with green.
Green?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just what I think. Find out next time.
Yeah. Because I'm colourblind, so I could be going for green.
Oh, fuck!
It's actually, like...
Forget that!
It could actually be yellow, I don't know. But...
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
But it will be a different colour next time, most likely.
We'll get rid of some of the stigma around STIs. It's important to be safe. It is important to get tested. It's important to use protection, you know, if in escorting. But, you know, if it's certed in collaborations, great. You generally shouldn't get them, but it does happen, doesn't it? Because
it does sometimes, yeah.
People are sneaky. People are like...
Well, and because sometimes someone doesn't know that they have it, or that someone else had it. You know, that's kind of where that chain sort of begins.
Yeah.
And then suddenly someone finds out, and they tell everyone, and make sure that everyone stops working, gets all of the necessary medication they need, and then they get tested again after a certain amount of time, so they know they're clear.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. In escorting, it is mainly... I mean, I have my own, obviously, birth protection? Fucking hell. Contraception.
Birth
it's the
protection.
same thing. No! You shall not pass. Yeah, but obviously condoms are used in every appointment, although I still managed to get herpes. Genital herpes, which I like to call fanny flu. Because it's basically... it's basically the same as a cold sore, but on your foof.
On your foof.
Yeah, or your asshole, as is today. I've actually got a sore on my asshole today. Yeah, because I forgot to get... Because I've got ADHD. I didn't order my meds in time. I've ordered them now, but I still haven't picked them up because time management is terrible. And yeah, because I'm due on, which is normally when it tends to come a-rolling in.
Does it kind of... like, coming onto your period kind of, like, bring flare-ups as well?
Yeah, so I'm more likely to get them... around my period time, or when it's due on or during, because obviously the surge in hormones, you're generally more run down.
Right, okay.
And yeah, so got herpes on my butt right now.
You get it in your butt as well.
In my butt.
You get it like...
Yeah, you can get it proper. Like, I mean, I've only had it for the last year, and I got that from escorting, because I wasn't sleeping with anyone at the time. I was just doing work, and yeah, but that's skin on skin contact. And I was really ashamed, like so ashamed, and I was gutted, like I was devastated. Because I felt really, like, dirty and, like, there was something wrong with me now. And, like, would I ever be able to have sex again unprotected? Like, I didn't know. Like, what if I got a partner?
There are the two words that should just never be associated with STIs of any kind of dirty and clean. Because there's no such thing as being dirty and clean. If you have a positive result for herpes, chlamydia, anything like that, That's all it is. It's a positive result. You can get it clear. And then the word clear is the other one that I like to use, because people say, oh, I've got clean certs. No, you have clear certs.
Clear certs, yeah.
Clear just doesn't associate it with any kind of cleanliness or dirtiness, and there is nothing wrong with having an STI. It just happens.
It happens. I mean, herpes I will always have now, but you can take antivirals for it. So I used to have, if I had a flare-up, I would have antivirals, which would get rid of it. And within a few days, I'd take it like 3 times. I think it's called aciclovir. I can never fucking say it.
Aciclovir.
Aciclovir. Aciclovir, that.
Need some of that aciclovir.
Oh, God. And, so I took that, but I kept getting an outbreak every month. And I was like, I'm a goddamn sex worker. I need to not have this come in every month. So after a while of that happening, I went to the doctor and I was like, I need something a bit more permanent to sort it out. So now I get it so that I have a tablet twice a day, every day for 6 months. But obviously, they didn't give me it all in one go. So I ran out, and this is how this little,
so you have to
ad hoc fucking flare-up has come out.
So you have to go back like every 5 months and then get it
Well, yeah, the repeat prescription will happen then, but like the box is only ever for like 3 months supply. So
oh, I see.
Yeah, so I needed to go back and get more, and I didn't do it. Oops. And it did come back, but
it happens, doesn't it?
It does
and then that flare-up will go away.
It will. I'm gonna collect them tomorrow, and I'll just take a few more then.
At least you're in the soft chair today.
I am
and
in
you've
the soft chair. I've got some comfies on.
Comfies on. You've got the numbing cream on your booty hole.
Yeah, you can get numbing cream. But something that was quite reassuring that the nurse told me, because when I went in, you have to go in to get tested because it isn't on the normal home kits. I got swabbed while I was in the gum clinic, and I was gutted, and she was like, it's really nothing to worry about. She was so lush. She's like, honestly, 75% of the population have it, whether or not they know they do or not.
HSV and HPV, isn't it?
Yeah, there's that as well. But yeah, like 75% of people have the herpes virus, and it needs to be de-stigmatized. It is not dirty. It is not unclean. Yes, you shouldn't have sex with someone if you have open sores. Obviously, but you probably wouldn't want to because it's gonna fucking hurt. So, but same way you wouldn't kiss people if you had a cold sore.
Yeah, and people
Exactly
forget that
thing.
is the herpes virus.
It's the same thing. It's just on a different bit. And you can have normal. I mean, there is a chance you can get it even when there's no sores, but it's very fucking low. And you can have normal sex. It's nothing to be ashamed of. You need to get rid of the stigma.
Definitely. Totally with you there.
So, I do dominatrix work as well. It's kind of on a freelance basis at the moment, but one day I would like to get one of those, like those sort of offices you can get built in the back of your garden.
Oh, yeah, okay, like a little unit,
I want it to be a dungeon.
Nice.
Yes!
So what would be, what's your tool of choice? What do you like in terms
I love pegging a guy.
Really?
Yeah. It's my favourite. I only did... Shut up. Don't act like you wouldn't fucking love it. Don't act like you're not impressed.
Don't act like I've not done it a few times before.
But yeah, so I had my first experience not that long ago with it. I mean, I discovered through escorting that I liked being a dominatrix. So the first one I did, it was like a client who wanted to be tied up and humiliated.
Okay.
And I really... enjoyed that because I'm a bit of an actress, if I do say so myself. And telling him all sorts of things. He sort of had an idea of the fantasy he wanted, and I really enjoyed it because he was enjoying it as well. And
so before you found this out, would you have classed yourself more as a submissive, or were you switchy?
I wasn't actually in that world. I knew they existed,
but so you didn't know if there was even
I didn't know where I fitted in that, or even if I did at all.
Right.
I discovered I liked it, and then I did have an online sub, so that was more just sort of mental focused. Love being called mistress. How may I serve you, mistress?
So mistress is your word, you like to be called.
I like to be called mistress.
Okay.
Goddess, empress, whatever you want. And just, when they say thank you, my mistress, it's so they thank you for being able to kiss your feet or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then we'd do fantasy things online. So they'd be like, how can I serve you, mistress? And so I'd get them to do a bit like jerk off instruction, and be like, you can do 10 strokes slowly, and I want to hear you do it. So I'd be getting like a fucking lob on in Tesco, walking around, listening to someone doing what I tell them, and them saying, thank you, my mistress. And I'm like, oh my God, fucking yes.
So if you were to get a voice then like, thank you, my mistress, you'd be like, oh!
Well, if I'd built up a connection with them.
Okay, so
it couldn't just be anyone.
No, you can't just get a DM of someone going,
No.
can I wank for your mistress? And then you'd be like, oh yeah, open the floodgates.
No, exactly. I mean, if it's the same with any, sort of like romantic connections, isn't it? Like if it's someone that you really like, it's going to super turn you on. I do love it, but like with anyone, they would need to pay me.
Right.
If you get me.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy doing it. Yeah.
Okay. So it's work related first is when you found out you really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then
found out I personally liked it as well.
So it kind of veered into your personal life as well after that. Interesting. Okay.
I fucking loved it. So yeah, and then I just loved the whole sort of connection of your psyche, your mind to there. It wasn't like an orgasm feeling, really. That's not the right word. It was more of just a really warm feeling in that area while that sort of side of me was being activated in my brain.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it. Let us know if you feel the same thing.
Okay, so it's not so much about the orgasm, it's more about like the control and the power you feel?
It's the dynamic, yeah. It's like the relationship that you have with each other, figuring out what each one likes. And like I would send, you'd be down at my feet and like I would send, say, a picture and be like looking downwards in a very domineering way. And they'd love the look in my eye and say, thank you, mistress. You've reminded me my place is at your feet. Oh my God, yes it is. And shit like that. And I fucking loved it. And then I did my first sort of appointment where I charged them and pegged them, humiliated them, pissed on them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I've done piss plays before. I've done humiliation voice notes that I've charged for.
So there's lots of other kind of kinks and fetishes intertwined within
like a dom sub relationship.
Yeah.
Dynamic. Yeah. Because some people don't like humiliation. They just like being sort of like of service to their mistress, or will do things like talk through fantasies of them serving me or me pegging them or whatever, and just describing like it can be very imaginative. I think that's what the difference is. Because it's far more in your psyche. And it's just a different way to be intimate.
So when you say kind of like you always have to develop a connection with that, is if you have a paying client, is it generally someone that you've built a rapport with over time?
Generally, yeah. I mean, obviously in escorting it wasn't. He did give me sort of 5-10 minutes explaining what he wanted me to do before. Okay. And I was being paid for the service, so it was fine. It wasn't anything I thought that I was interested at that point. I didn't actually know what I was going into, but he was happy to teach me. And then, yeah, but as far as, when clients book me now, I will say what I will and won't do. So, for example, they need to have their own toys for insertion because I don't have any kind of like insurance for any of that. Yeah. They need to have their own, sort of cleanliness done. And then I like to build a rapport and find out what it is they want out of the appointment. Like, what do you want me to hone in on? What do you want me to focus on? What kind of names do you want to be called? Do you have a safe word? All of these types of things.
Safe words, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Important.
It's difficult. Sometimes I've been in a situation where I have forgotten my safe word.
Yeah, well, you're
and
in the
I've
moment,
had to do the old
you?
like kind of thing,
Tap
so
out.
you've got to have a physical one at the same time. And generally mine is that, which
That's
is I've only had
enough.
to do it a couple of times, but still. Yeah,
But that's what I mean. It doesn't mean that, you shouldn't do it just because you have a safe word or you have a limit. It's just, it's the respect, it's the dynamic of that, and just making sure that everybody's consensual. That's another thing. Should never bring someone into a kink that hasn't consented to that. So, for example, I was, messaging a photographer recently, because you move to WhatsApp to then arrange shoots and stuff.
Right.
And they said, what was it? They said, a bit of fun this morning. Should I wear lacy panties for my walk or boxers? And I was like, what? What are you on about? And he was like, oh, it's a kink of mine. I was like, you can't spring that on me and get me involved in your kink without asking.
That's pushing a boundary without consent straight away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's this. The same applies. The same applies.
I've seen that happen a few times recently with a friend of mine. They had this normal kind of casual friendly relationship with someone, and then they opened their Snapchat, and this person had sent them a photo from basically their waist down to their knees with their trousers down, all of a sudden, and it just, the caption was, "This is how I'm spending my day." It's like, I know it's not nudity, but all up until that point, there had been no assumption that was okay, you know?
No consent was established.
No, exactly. And if your conversations are largely quite beige up until that point, then sending someone a picture of your bare legs with your trousers around your ankles is a big no-no. Yeah. You know, like...
Well, it's just going to put you off, isn't it? It's like, what do you want me to say to that?
It's a big ick.
Huge ick.
Ick. Yeah.
Yeah, non-consent is ick.
In
the bin.
That is why I do not respond to any of these, you know, little dick pics I get in Instagram and stuff anymore, because largely I don't want to see that straight away, and being a pansexual person, I want to have a connection with someone before I see their genitalia.
I've seen a million. I charge for dick pics.
I've tried. I've tried.
You do a dick rate?
Yeah, I've done a couple. They mostly want video or audio because people tend to like my voice.
Darling.
So I've done a few and they've gone down quite well, but the vast majority of people, when I say, if you're going to send me a picture of your dick, then you're going to have to pay me, they say, fuck you, and then they run away.
Yeah.
You know? I
mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like the entitlement. I feel like it's a power move as well. Like, what do you think you're going to gain from me looking at your dick? Do you know what I mean? What are you going to tell your grandkids? Oh, well, one day, scrolling on Instagram and, you know, Big Boy 347 comes into my inbox. And
I know that guy.
Saw the most incredible dick, erect dick, in my face, and I thought, he's the one.
That is the one.
That's it. That never happened. That is never going to happen. Like, no. I honestly believe it's just a power play, because I've opened messages with people wanking straight away.
Really?
Videos.
You know what? I think women get that a lot more than the vast majority of people. I
just don't know what they're hoping to achieve. And that's why I think it's a power play, because it's like, you know, I'm not going to be happy about this.
It's got to be power play or shock. Yeah. You know, it's almost like having a flasher when they used to wear the trench coats in the 80s. You know?
I think it is, honestly, because as well in escorting, I get lots of people who try and use no condom. And I really think it's a game to some of them to see how much they can get away with, how far they can push your boundaries.
Yeah.
And I am so I just give the look normally, like...
Are you serious?
Are you fucking serious right now?
If that's, especially if that's on your site as saying always protected, and they try and push that boundary. Yeah. You know, that's...
Well, it's kind of a known thing within escorting, and like if girls do it, you know, the ones that, you know, have kind of like loose boundaries because they might be young, they don't know how to say no to a client, whatever it is.
Or if they're just okay with that and they don't mind the risk. I know that there are some that
that's fine. I mean, it's their bodies, but then it kind of does set a precedent for the rest of the girls in the agency, because then they're going to want that if they book again.
Right.
So, use protection.
Use protection.
Always. And you've got... I'm a stickler for knowing if they're stealthing, because some of them will try and roll it off and I'm there.
So that's what it's called?
Rolling it back on.
Stealthing.
Stealthing, yeah.
It's such a creepy term, isn't it?
It is.
Oh dear. So they try and roll it off, like in
without
between,
you noticing. Or they'll try and get it in with before the condom's on, and it's like, no.
Oh, that's... I don't like that.
I know.
I mean, why would I like that? But still, I don't like that.
I know. It's just a occupational hazard. You've just got to keep your eyes on it, and because people will just try and get away with stuff.
Yeah.
Some people just love seeing what they can get away with. I mean, the only ones that we do sort of blacklist, I suppose, would be the ones that just keep blowing past the boundaries despite numerous warnings. You know, you just get yourself blacklisted. It's fucking pointless. And I'll take your money and leave anyway.
So, I don't know if it's so much like a boundary pushing thing, but like the stories you hear of creators kind kind of like not adhering to each other's rules and stuff on
Oh, right.
collaborations.
I mean, that's not my world yet, but obviously you'll probably have more.
Well, I think I'm assuming like your background in escorting, well, not background, but present, is going to be really good for it because, as you said, you know how to say no, you know what you're doing. So if you get anyone who's taking the piss, then you'll be able to say no.
I'd just fucking leave.
Yeah,
I'd leave.
Like,
in fact, if they keep doing it, say if it's gone past sort of the 5-10 minutes, there is, because in the first 5 minutes you need to get the money in your possession, not just on the table or whatever, because they have had, there's, been past occurrences where it's just been left on the table, and if the client gets unhappy, just grab the money back off the table. No, you get it straight away, it's in your possession, and you can leave anytime you want. My agency's really good. They always back my decisions. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I feel safe with them and feel looked out for. Way more than, a get home safe text for a Tinder date.
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what good is that on Monday when I'm halfway down the Taft Trail chopped up in a fucking suitcase? Stay safe.
Yeah, that's true. Taft Trail, you'd never fucking find you,
dark, but,
they never find you.
You're more likely, when people worry about, the safety of sex workers and all of this, it's like you're more likely to die because of DV from someone you fucking know.
DV?
Domestic violence.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so, like, you're more than, as a woman anyway, you're more likely to be unsafe with a romantic partner than you are in sex work.
Right, yes.
Obviously, there's different levels of sex work. You do get, and, just so everybody knows, there are slur words. Whore is a slur word, prostitute is a slur word, and what else is there? I don't like being called a whore, I don't like being called a prostitute. A hooker.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sex worker. That's all you need to say.
Yeah? Okay. I think I remember someone I knew who was an escort, they used to use the word concubine.
The fuck?
Yeah. I think
Isn't that like a fucking...
It's an archaic thing. No, that's a porcupine.
Oh, you knew what I was thinking, didn't you?
A prickly thing.
Isn't that something with loads of prickles? Very long.
No, yeah, I think concubine is like a really archaic word. It was used in mostly like East Asia, I think, but it's a translation of that. Yeah.
Well, anyway, there's slur words for it.
So
there's different levels. Obviously, there's not much screening that's gone on with, say, people who are in the sex industry because of desperation. I'm there by choice. I'm a completely different level than, some people assume it's either extremely dingy and dangerous, or they think it's super glamorous, which it isn't either. So,
right.
Yeah, it just goes back to the misconceptions and assumptions. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway. Okay, I think that's quite a nice natural way to end that bit, isn't it?
And then, shall we have a feature called Ask a Sex Worker? AKA Agony Aunt for sex workers and, question answerers for the Geno public.
Yeah.
Why not? Here's the email. Again.
Here it is. I don't know why I imagined baguette when I was doing that. It's like might even put a little baguette in there. Anyway, yeah. So ask a sex worker if you are a sex worker, because I mean you've got experience in areas I don't. I've got experience in areas
we can get
you don't.
what would you do in this situation? Can I have advice? Is this weird?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if you just have any general questions, if you're not a sex worker as well. Like, it could be that you've just started in the industry, it could be that you've just started online, or you've just started escorting, if you've got any questions like that. Or if you are a member of the general public who is not a sex worker at all, then please get in contact and ask us some questions.
Anyway, guys, stay spicy.
Stay spicy. Enjoy the spice.
Enjoy the spice.
So we've had our socials down the bottom the entire time.
Here's mine.
Well placed. Here's mine. So if you want to go and have a look at our Instagrams, because they're our Instagram handles, we are going to be getting stuff set up for the channel. So this will be on a channel, and then we'll have everything else linked, our collective Instagram, everything like that.
Yeah.
thank you for watching / listening, because we are recording for the podcast, but also we're going to pop it on YouTube as well.
Yes, you can view us. Your eyes can bestow.
Yeah, put a face to the names, you know. Although you've probably seen a lot more than our faces if you come from somewhere already, but
potentially, if you pay up. Yes.
Yeah, our downstairs faces as well. But anyway, until next time, I am Peaches.
I am Peachdom. Stay spicy.
Stay spicy.